Was I being unreasonable? I didn't know anymore. When it came to marrying a man with children, I was discovering I couldn't find my footing or trust my judgment much of the time. It wasn't that I didn't like them. I insisted defensively to my future husband on that day and many others. I did. I looked forward especially to spending time with my older stepdaughter-to-be, the one who didn't live with us, because I wanted to have the opportunity to get to know her in the way I was getting to know her little sister. But in those early days, I found the girls equal parts adorable and fun to be around and exhausting and demanding. Sometimes, even though I didn't want to admit it, I even found them bratty and difficult. Let me add that this was not their fault, not by a long shot. Getting used to me couldn't have been easy for them. And to make matters worse, I was coming to understand that for the entire 6 years of my fiancé's separation, divorce, and subsequent single life, he had made sure that weekends were a whirlwind of activities planned with the girls' wants in mind. They were pretty much in charge of all the decisions: where to have lunch, which DVDs to rent, how many glitter pens and henna tattoos and pairs of shoes to buy, when to go to bed. In my future husband's words, "They've come to expect that they can show up whenever they feel like it, and that my life is all about them whenever they do." It was only natural that during the deepening of my relationship with him, and my acquaintanceship with his girls, he and I would not always see eye to eye regarding the fact that I needed a little more time away from them than he did. But it felt like a failure to argue so much. Does the TV have to be that loud? Shouldn't she do her homework? Can't they put their own dishes in the dishwasher? Where was his sense of privacy and of romance anyway? And I could sense it pulling us apart. We were in the outer circle of step hell, though I didn't realize it yet. I wrote this book about women with stepchildren for women with stepchildren, because being a woman with stepchildren is not easy. E. Mavis Hetherington, Ph.D., psychologist and author of the landmark 3-decade Virginia longitudinal study of 1,400 families that divorced and remarried, notes that whereas children frequently come to appreciate having a stepfather, particularly if he brings in income, provides companionship to mom, and proves to be a friend to the child, the situation with stepmothers is more difficult, and stepchild resentment is more intense. And this state of affairs is more or less unavoidable. As Hetherington writes, even those women who would like to be less involved in running the family rarely have the chance. They are often expected to be nurturers to already difficult and suspicious children and to impose some kind of order on the household, which is angrily and bitterly resented by many stepchildren. Hetherington found a real demonizing of the stepmother in situations where the husband did not support his wife's efforts to parent and discipline, and where the husband's ex treated her as a rival and was highly involved in the children's lives and their father's household. Reporting with some surprise that so many of her subjects described their stepmothers as evil, malevolent, wicked, or monsters, and gave them nicknames like Dogface and the Dragon. Hetherington concludes, stepfathers rarely encountered this level of vitriol. Of course, there are plenty of kids who give their stepfathers a hard time. Some ultimately break off relationships with mom's second or third spouse altogether. But the stepmonster, it seems, is a uniquely female hybrid. She's easy to hate. She's pervasive in the culture, including our collective unconscious, and we are petrified of becoming her. Often we turn ourselves inside out to avoid it, or berate ourselves for having feelings that strike us as stepmonsterish. It's no shock, then, that several studies find that stepmothers have the most problematic role in the family and experience significant adjustment difficulties. Yet stepfamily life, remarriage with children, whatever you want to call it, has been largely viewed through the prism of its repercussions and emotional effects on the children. Books on the subject tell women how their stepchildren feel, what their stepchildren need and want, and how they can help their stepchildren adjust to and accept their father's remarriage. This is tremendously helpful. It can only improve.